This is the first Tuesday of the month Waupaca City Council meeting.
Thanks. Welcome everybody to tonight's meeting. Before we get started, I sent a memo to council members and staff, and I want to make sure that the public knows too, but I have been diagnosed with Bell's palsy, and it's something that's temporary. It doesn't affect anything but the side of your face. So if my speech is to the point where you can't understand me, let me know and we'll make other arrangements to handle tonight's meeting. But I think it should go smoothly. If you look on the other side of that, I emailed it to you too, but if you look on the other side of that email that I put on your desk, you'll also notice an action item, or not an action item, but an item that we'll talk about under number 11, which is communications and recommendations of the mayor. But you have had that emailed to you, as well as the press has had that emailed to them too. It was later today. It was late in the workday today. So let's begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And we'll ask Sandy to read the clerk's open meeting statement for us.
This meeting and all other meetings of the Common Council are open to the public. Proper notice has been posted and given to the press in accordance with Wisconsin state statutes, so the citizens may be aware of the time, place, and agenda of this meeting.
And Sandy, would you take roll also?
Brian Smith.
Here.
Steve Hackett.
Here.
Lori Chestnut.
Here.
Paul Hagan.
Here.
Alan Keeland.
Here.
Scott Perchatsky.
Here.
Dave Peterson.
Here.
Paul Mayo.
Here.
Chuck Whitman.
Here.
Jillian Peterson. Here. And Eric Olson.
Here.
10 present. We have a quorum.
Consent agenda. You have items on your consent agenda, on the agenda, that are for consent agenda purposes. This is where we take one motion and vote on that one motion on all of those items. Unless council would like to see, or staff would like to see, any of those items moved to the regular agenda and voted on them individually. Is there anybody that would like to see that happen? If not, we need a...
Move to approve consent agenda.
Thanks, Alan.
Second.
Motion by Keelan, second by Hackett. Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Regular agenda, Sandy says she has nothing, but I did mention to you that I did send out a email and a memo to you, and I put it on your desk tonight. Okay, so with that said, we would need a motion to approve the regular agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Hagan, second by Chestnut. Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
No, those against? Motion carried. Sorry, I was moving on. Non-agenda items and announcements. We have a thank you note from the family of Ward Montgomery. That's just informational purposes. We all know that Russ is a longtime employee of the city, and his father passed away just a couple of weeks ago. Public input. This is a time where we give the public the opportunity to speak to us on a non-agenda item. We don't always get people in the audience, but we have a couple tonight. If there is any public input that they'd like to give, please step up to the podium and give your name and address for the record.
My name is Susan Renowicki, and I reside at 720 East Lake Street.
Welcome.
Thank you. It was very hard to pull myself away from the beautiful evening to attend, so I hope I get good citizen points for that. I have a list of just some concerns that I have, and I produce copies for everyone. And I don't anticipate that we are going to discuss at length all these items, or not all these items that I have on the list, but in the future, if someone could give me some feedback, you know, someone who feels they want to address this subject with me, I've included my home phone number and my email address. May I approach and hand these out?
Sure.
Thank you.
We can hand them out. That's fine. You think? Okay, thanks.
Actually, I already did.
Oh, thanks, sir.
I have one extra copy if you guys run out.
Or are they short too? That's all right. I think they're short too. Or are you extra? We have one extra. Oh, okay.
You got one right here?
Mm-mm.
Oh, you moved it? Okay, sorry.
So we can just kind of fire through these and, or if you want to, however you guys handle it.
No, well, this is public input, so
Oh.
you just give us what your thoughts are, and then we'll take it under consideration at future meetings,
Oh, okay, great.
okay?
So first item I guess I have is Lake Street. First concern is the condition of the actual street. I feel the roadway has significant cracks and small potholes forming, and the patch jobs are almost kind of making things worse. It's miserable to bike down that street. And so I don't know if there's ever any future repair to Lake Street planned, but it would be kind of nice. Part of the problem may be the heavy load traffic that we're seeing a lot of on the street these days. The tractor trailers and dump trucks, and then trailers hauling really heavy machinery are going down the road on many times a day, and it's loud and it's rattling the house. And I think it's only exacerbating the problems of the road conditions. And finally, under that category, we have what we in the neighborhood call the bad intersection, and it's the intersection at Lake, 8th, and School, where numerous accidents have happened, and we frequently hear squealing tires and brakes and stuff. So I think maybe considering eliminating a turn or two, obviously not for emergency vehicles or law enforcement, may kind of alleviate that problem. Next item I have is the urban deer and rabbits. It's nuts. Not only have I personally lost, hundreds of dollars of landscaping plants, and so have many neighbors of mine, but I really feel it's a health concern as well. I'm encountering more ticks in my backyard than I do when I'm in the field, and I'm in the field a lot. As far as the deer go, maybe studying some elimination programs that have had success and implementing one that would be appropriate for our community might help, could only help. And as far as rabbits go, that's trickier, but at least encouraging people to control their habitat that rabbits love. Like I fenced off underneath this camper because they were trying to create a warren under there, and brush piles that are excessive. I mean, obviously I don't want people like patrolling people's backyards, but just maybe some public outreach would help. And finally, the feeding of deer, and I know of several residences that are feeding deer, and this really needs to be stopped and enforced in some way. Third subject, ironically, is code enforcement. I know that that's a touchy subject with a lot of community members. We have concerns that, it was stated it was going to be a good source of revenue for the community, and that, well, equals a lot of fines, and we're just kind of wondering how many fines need to be levied to just cover the, salary of this position. And then I've just kind of bulleted some, concerns about this, kind of culture of, informants or whatever, or little personal vendettas with people telling on one another, people being targeted. And then last of those bullets is last year's snow removal debacle that, yes, it's personal. Our side of the Lake Street was somewhat targeted, and as I note, I did get my fine reduced by meeting with Brennan Kane, but I'm having problems with the principle of that. I'm also very aware how long I work to make $15. And lastly, my positive note, had a meeting earlier with Aaron Jensen today, and learned that my pet project of this Japanese knotweed has actually been addressed. So yay, and +1 to the city for addressing that invasive plant that is a serious invasive. And also just wanted to say the shoreline restoration at South Park, it's really positive. Like that, and also learned with my meeting with Aaron today that the Waupaca River Canoe Trail has been cleaned up by a group of volunteers, and that's great because it's a nice resource, but it was not really traversable for a while. And that concludes. I have my contact information at the end of my notes.
Okay. Susan, I can tell you, Justin, turn around just so she can see you. Justin is the one that would be your contact for the Lake Street and even the contact for the urban deer and the rabbits.
Okay.
Although the police department will probably be in on that too. But one of those people will get in contact with you. Obviously, Brennan is the code enforcement, and he'll contact you. And you already met Aaron today. So,
Right.
And if you find out that you would like to meet with us further on this after you meet with them, you let us know.
Certainly.
Okay? And I do give you kudos for coming tonight.
Oh,
bringing
well,
this
thank
up.
you.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I appreciate your time and consideration.
Have a great night. Any other public input? If not, we'll move on to unfinished business. This is license report number 1293. Oh, okay, under new business. Make sure you make me talk more. Yeah, we have license report number 1293. Again, it's pending background check and payments of any fines owed to the city.
Make a motion, we approve license report number 1293.
Second.
Motion by Hackett, second by Keelan. Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. B, this is an ordinance, 1215. Justin?
Thank you, Mayor. In the package on page 75 to 81 shows a memo on page 75, and then behind it, several documents, including the proposed ordinance and new permit form, and then behind that, the existing ordinance and the existing form. This ordinance that I'm proposing to change is street excavation 805. The reason why is mainly because it hasn't been updated since 2004, but more importantly, I was approached by both Brennan Kane, Development Director, and also Roger Hansen, the Street Superintendent, basically saying turn your phone off.
Don't tell me what to do.
They approached me and they said basically the same thing at different times, that it needs to be updated. The permit fee is not enough, and it's just kind of out of date. So I'm going to just kind of go through the memo here. Basically, this ordinance is in place to require outside services or contractors for getting a permit and paying a fee before they can do any kind of excavation or cutting within our roadway. The fee is $150 based on a square footage, and it only is required when they're cutting the pavement within the roadway. It has nothing to do when they're outside in the grass, terrace, or in the ditches. So as I said, this ordinance has been updated since 2004. At that time, it was mainly just a fee increase. We're again asking to increase that fee from $150 to $300. But at the same time, we're going to try and simplify the assessment. Instead of doing a square footage, it's just going to be basically on an each or per excavation. So for example, if like a development wants to tie in a water lateral, it'll be $300 for that one excavation, that one connection. If they want to tie in a water and a sewer lateral, that's basically going to be 2 different holes, 2 connections, that's $600. Also, it added quite a bit of wording within the whole ordinance based on a lot of comments from Roger himself. And the first is basically if you want to switch the ordinance, the section 1 in the permit basically explains that if they're within a right-of-way doing the work, we want it to be permitted, period. We want to know what's going on, and we need to make sure that we're covering ourselves with this permit fee. Additional wording was added to the landscaping. This was a big thing for Roger because it deals directly with the property owners. When grass is not restored properly, when things look messy, we get a lot of complaints. So there is wording in section 2 near the back. It would be chapter F, basically enforcing that the contractors or utilities are responsible for restoring the grass or whatever it is back to normal, that they have to remove the locate flags so that we don't get a bunch of calls wondering when they can remove these colorful flags. And the wording also ensures that, you know, they have to restore this, and it puts more of the onus on them. And basically the street superintendent has more say on topsoil, seeding, fertilizer, matting, and mulch, and can enforce it better. Additional changes included adding wording to the contractor's responsibility for unacceptable work, materials, and methods. Basically, the whole thing has increased quite substantially just to try to get it up to roadway standards with just materials, means, and methods. It spells out how they're supposed to compact the trenches from the very bottom all the way up, and then also what material and how they're supposed to compact base material, and then the pavement. And a lot of that is trying to match current standards and also match our roadway ordinances. Then moving on to the permit form, this has been changed a little bit. The top half of it, if you can look back and forth between the proposed and the current, the top half is pretty much the same, getting the general information of the contractor, what type of work they're doing, and what they expect to see. The bottom half is where the big changes have come about, and it's more of a checklist. And the idea is once they check these boxes, they are agreeing to our ordinances. They are agreeing that they understand what they're required to do. And it's also supposed to be kind of a quick, easy guide for anyone in the office, whether it's myself, Rhonda, or back to Roger, that he can look through and say, yep, they agreed, here's their plan, they have their insurance on file, it's all good to go. So in general, the wording of it increased quite a bit. I felt it was really necessary just to protect ourselves and our roadway. And probably the biggest thing that a part of this new change that does that is the last paragraph, H, and I'll just read it to you. If the replaced pavement, curbs, curb and gutter, sidewalk, or driveway apron settles or cracks within 1 year of the date of the permit, and a failure of the replacement is due to improper backfill, compaction, or material usage, the street department shall replace all defective work and charge the contractor or utility for the cost of such replacement. So basically, we don't want to be enforcers, but if something happens, we just need to be able to cover our costs. And really, we want the permittees who are looking at this or who are wanting to get the permit to make sure that their I's are dotted, their T's are crossed, and they're actually looking at this so that we don't have problems. But in case we do, we're covered. So that's all I need.
Okay, this is the first reading of this ordinance, so we will act on this if you choose, we'll have to act on it at our next regular scheduled meeting. Anybody have any questions? Steve?
On page 81, it shows a fee of $150, and I'm not sure that's what it should say.
That's the existing one, I think, Steve. That's the
That's
existing.
the current, yeah.
But when you look down the thing, it's signed by Justin. That's why I figured it was not.
Well, the current form's updated for me because we have had a permit come through. So we had to update that part of it. The new one will have a $300 fee per.
I just wanted to make sure it wasn't.
Okay.
Okay, any other discussion, questions?
Yes, generally, I think it's well done. The only thing I have a problem with is calling it a minimum fee, because that implies a maximum fee too. And I know you're saying $300 per excavation is really what you mean, right?
That's correct.
So if you delete the word minimum, I think it would still read the same. It would still have the same intent.
Well, the intent was that it's for, or per excavation or service connection, it's $300. So that it's not, so that when they fill out this form, they feel like $300 should cover whatever they do. It just depends on what they do. So if they're making a number of connections or excavations throughout an entire block, that's going to be $300 per excavation.
Understand that, but you've got that in the form already when you say estimated number of excavations. It's a minor point, Justin. I guess I shouldn't
I
belabor
think
it.
that's only on the memo, correct?
Pardon me?
The minimum, the word minimum?
I thought I saw it. I guess it's in the ordinance.
Oh, it is in the
It's in the
ordinance,
ordinance. Right at the very beginning of the ordinance.
Well, I guess the wording of that is, yes, a minimum permit fee of $300 shall be charged for any disturbance within any portion of the right of way. So that's saying if they're in there and they're working and they're excavating or cutting or whatever, it's $300. The next subparagraph details that the fee shall be assessed for each cut, excavation, down the line.
Okay.
So.
Okay, any other questions on that or discussion? All right, let's move on to the, Brennan?
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. In your packet, you have the proposed assessor contract for 2016 with Bomar Appraisal. As some of you may remember, we were earlier, or late last year, we were seeking the possibility of looking to do a reval or go for an RFP process for selection of a assessor contract. We did receive some preliminary numbers back later this year regarding what that cost would be, and it would be about an increase of $50,000 to $60,000 in order to do that market adjustment. We also had spoken with Kathy about this as well. Due to the fact that that's cost prohibitive in the 2016 budget, we decided to seek a contract extension with Bomar for 2016, the amount of $18,400. That is in line with what they have charged us in the past. There actually is no increase for 2016 for this contract, and the latest assessment numbers that we actually have gotten back is that we're actually closer to 100% for our assessment value compared to the 104, 105 that we've been in the past. So our assessment for the community is actually more in line where it needs to be than where it has been in the past. Any questions?
Anybody have any questions? That's what you anticipated in the budget?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, and it's accounted for.
Okay. Anybody? Looking for a motion?
I'd move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mail, second by Keelan, that we approve of the 2016 assessment contract with Bomar Appraisals Incorporated for an amount not to exceed $18,400. Further discussion? If not, Sandy will call the roll.
Jillian Peterson. Aye. Scott Perchatsky.
Aye.
Lori Chestnut. Aye. Dave Peterson.
Aye.
Chuck Whitman.
Aye.
Paul Mayo.
Aye.
Steve Hackett.
Aye.
Eric Olson.
Aye.
Paul Hagan.
See you, Peg.
And Alan Keeland.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
Okay, number 10, we have no action required tonight. Number 11 is communications, recommendations of the mayor, and that's that memo, without having to read the whole thing to you. That's a memo that I sent out. My requirement, if I approve or proposed to veto something is I have to do this within 5 business days. Actually, the meeting was on a Wednesday last week, so I have truly till tomorrow at 4 o'clock to do this, but I thought I would do it today to make sure. I'm suggesting that I veto 3 things that you did last week at last week's meeting. Number 1, the Waupaca online budget. I just didn't think that there was a consensus among our finance director, and I know she's not here to discuss it, and we're not going to anyway, so I mean, it will be at the next meeting. And Josh, who is acting as the in-staff person for Waupaca Online, so I want them to take a look at that a little better. So I am disagreeing with that and vetoing that action. And then the other 2 have to do with the water utility. One is the 3% rate increase. Again, I might have missed something. I wasn't feeling great last Wednesday. That's really when it started. But I just didn't see any reason why to raise it 3%, except that we hadn't raised the rate in 3 years. Well, I'm not okay with that. I want more information than that. Okay? And by doing that, I'm pretty sure the rate increase was in the budget. Justin wasn't sure. So I felt that I needed to veto that budget for the water too. So all 3 of those things will be on your agenda, and they actually occur under this same section, the communications recommendations of the mayor. So it will be at the end of the meeting again, after our other budget discussion. Anybody have any questions at this time? Again, don't be afraid to give me your opinion on it or discuss it obviously with the finance director and Justin and Josh for that matter too with Waupaca Online. Anything else? You guys all saddened by the Packer loss? Nobody's. We're looking for a motion to adjourn then.
Second.
Motion by Keelan, second by Hagan, that we adjourn till our next regular scheduled meeting, which is November 17th, 2015 at 6 p.m. subject to call. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Thanks everybody. Have a great night.